I'm Edward Warfield, and I'm honored today to interview Edward Marshall, the global head of Dentons Family Office. Welcome, Edward.
Hey, great to be here, Edmund.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. You spent some time recently as a managing partner at Boston Private. Can you tell us about your career and the decision to join Dentons?
Sure. So I started my private sector career out as a strategy consultant and engagement manager for Booz Allen Hamilton, and then was lucky enough to make a transition into the financial services world, where I started working at Credit Suisse, and in that particular group over there, I worked in our family office and high net worth practice there, helped build that out. Also had leading roles at Citi Private Bank in that family office unit, and most recently at Boston Private in their family office, building that family office practice out, which has now been recently acquired by Silicon Valley Bank.
So your position is global head of Dentons Family Office and high net worth sector. Can you tell us about that part of the sector, that practice, and your role in that group?
Yeah. So I sit in our corporate practice within that. That's sort of my home base within Dentons itself. And the way that we've kind of set up this group is to create a platform for our existing and potential future clients in the family office space around three kind of verticals. The first one being advisory and insights. The second one around consulting, and the third one really around what I call and what we call family office access. So on the insight side, that's where we, one of the issues that you see come up and creep up a lot in the family office space is getting good ground truth information. Being able to ascertain what good benchmarks are out there, what other family offices that look like you are doing. That's always been a lacking point, and there's many reasons for that. But that's certainly a focus that we have. Have some great proprietary data and projects and programs that we work with families, whether it's putting them through an audit of their current situation and giving them benchmarks around that, to some more sophisticated advice and analytics from there. You also see we put out a lot of content in certain, whether it's white papers, podcasts, and other areas from there. Stay tuned to see more of us in 21 on that aspect. Now, in terms of the consulting and advisory piece, that's that's where Dentons comes in as a partner to a lot of these families, and they'll hire us as a strategic advisor to them, either on a short-term basis, a project basis, or where we become a very integral part of that family office and that family's operations. And the third area that I mentioned is really around family office access. That's what we call that, and it's the community of family offices that we have with the family offices that we cover around the world as existing clients. And to us, that's an interesting area, certainly because one of the things that is a constant request from family offices is, and certainly in what they're looking at, is being able to meet their peers. So it's an area where we have a good peer network of other family office executives, and whether it's inviting and introducing them, if they're in different geographies, we're able to do that as well. So to me, those are kind of the three legs of the stool of our family office practice here at Dentons.
And how many lawyers are in this practice area?
So we've got about 150 lawyers that have put their hand up and said that they either cover family offices right now and are looking to do that, or they cover family offices and they want to do a better approach to what they're doing with them. So that's the kind of the core group that's there, and it ranges across different geographies. All the way from and it's in every geography that we have here at the firm. And that's what is another interesting point in terms of how Dentons approaches things, is they don't do, and we don't do our work based on different geographies, we do it across practice groups. So it's across the board, whether you're talking about our hotel group or other specializations or venture capital. It's geography doesn't matter, and I think when you look at some of the globality of some of these families that we work with, that you can appreciate our ability to be just as plugged in for that family in London, Moscow, and San Francisco, as far as being able to help them out.
So you recently authored a title entitled "Surveying the Risk and Threat Landscape to Family Offices." Can you give us sort of an overview of that paper and what really are the major risks and threats that the family offices are facing?
That was a very interesting project to work on for a number of reasons. And the way it came about was conversations in working with families over the years, and that there was this disconnect between the family offices themselves, the principles that they serve, and then this industry of risk and threat management, and a lot of different players and a lot of different dimensions that came there. And we certainly had some inklings of why those discrepancies were there, but it's much better to have that inkling tested and actually then go do a full-blown evaluation and survey. So then you get some results that you can actually extrapolate and bring out as some findings, and that's what we did there. We surveyed over 200 family offices around the world, vast majority of them here in the United States, or in North America, I should say. And we asked and got into some of the areas that I think are critical for family offices. And I think if you look at some of the themes that come out of that report, is that there's certainly some common areas that family offices were concerned. And I think part of the findings were you really had a lack of awareness of the threat kind of status and threat picture for a lot of these family offices. I think there was an underestimation on many of those parts. You certainly found that there was not a lot of good benchmarking for what family offices do around risk, and I think that's an important factor. You had a lot of family offices that were self-diagnosing those risks and threats, and then just a general focus on not prioritizing some of those risks and threats that came up. And some of the key findings that I think would be good to highlight were really around the prevalence of cyber attacks. We found that over a quarter of family offices had reported that they had faced a cyber security attack in the last 12 months. And that number is, when you consider that number is quite high, the actual number is probably even higher, closer to 40 or 50% based on other data and other folks that we've talked to in this space and gotten to know. And that's probably because folks have been compromised in one aspect or another and probably don't even know it, given the sophistication of some of the actors that are in this area. Another one was another finding that was interesting and certainly concerning, was that nearly 80% of family offices that were surveyed indicated that they don't have a continuous program to monitor employees and do background checks and regularly keep on background checks for employees after they start. So when you consider the nature of family offices, the amount of information and privacy concerns that they have in such a small group of people, that's certainly an area that, and the outsized access that those people have to that information, to the principals, that's certainly an area of concern and merits further investigation and remediation by a lot of those families. And the last thing that I'd note was really interesting is that only about 19% of families that were surveyed indicated that they had any kind of a health advisory or those types of consulting factors built into their family office ecosystem. And when you consider all the other issues that can come up around risk, health is one of those that is guaranteed for all of us. And the disruption that can cause without good plans in place certainly 2020 gave us examples of what that can look like in the long run. But it was a good, interesting piece of work, and I think shed some critical light on for family offices around their risk and threat management area.
And so, what trends do you expect to see in the family office landscape in the coming year?
Yeah. Well, on one aspect, I would say that family offices are not immune to the things that most corporations or most people are facing, right? I mean, you're looking at 21 as concerns around geopolitical uncertainty, interests around cryptocurrency and what that means, the future of work, right? The ability for us to have this kind of an interview face to face versus electronically as we're doing today, or how they're going to be facing that issue go forward. I think I don't think, based on my conversations with family offices and what I'm hearing, is that people are going to be remote forever in that space. I think you're going to see a hybrid certainly go forward on that of what's there. I think there's certainly a high increased concern around equality, that that conversation has started to go around in different family office environments as well. But I think some of the things that people call trends in family office that you'll certainly see out in the literature are really perennial, and they're very very specific to the types of family offices and the archetype of the family office that you're talking about, right? So sometimes you'll hear about a trend in uptick in interest in direct investing, or an interest of impact investing, or a conversion of hedge funds. And I think it's it's important to note that those are things that do happen, but they're more relevant to a particular way that a family looks to set up and run their family office than the industry writ large.
Well, are there any additional additions that you want to add to this interview? Is there anything we haven't covered?
Well, listen, I think the interesting part about this for me as a non-lawyer, being at Dentons, the world's largest law firm, is that it's an exciting opportunity when you consider when people call when family offices call on their lawyers, and it tends to be in times of a critical decision. Or threats or issues that have come up, and to me that's an exciting place to be in terms of how Dentons is positioned for that, and my colleagues who have great expertise of working with family offices around the world, and it's an exciting opportunity.
Edward, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, and we wish you the best of luck at Dentons.
Thank you so much. Cheers, Edwin.